You are listening to Void Frequency, a Void Mentality audio series. This is episode 1, The Life You Keep Avoiding.
Today, we are exploring a concept that sits quietly at the edge of almost every developer's desk, every designer's screen, and every thinker's mind. It is what we call the void mentality. Specifically, we are discussing the life you keep avoiding. We often tell ourselves we are searching for clarity, or waiting for the right tool, or waiting for the perfect methodology to appear. But what if we already know exactly what needs to change, and we are simply refusing to pay the friction cost of changing it? Let us bring in our first panelist to help unpack this. Joining us from Berlin is Marcus, a software engineer who has spent a lot of time thinking about these internal system architectures. Marcus, welcome to the program.
Yes, hello, Paul. Thanks for having me. I think, this whole idea of, waiting for clarity, it really hits home for me. In my line of work, we have this habit of optimizing our setup. We spend hours, sometimes days, configuring our editor or, adjusting our window manager or looking for the perfect note-taking app. And we tell ourselves we are preparing. We are trying to find the best way to start. But if I'm being completely honest with myself, the code I actually need to write, I already know what it is. I'm just, avoiding the uncomfortable friction of actually sitting down and failing at the keyboard for a few hours.
That is a very striking observation, Marcus. The preparation itself becomes the barrier. We also have Elena on the line, calling in from San Francisco. Elena, how does this concept of the silent buffer look from your perspective?
Oh, it is real. It is so real. I work in UI design, and we have this culture of constant inspiration gathering, right? We scroll through design portfolios, we read articles about process, we build these massive mood boards, and it feels like we are working. It feels so productive, but when you look closer, it is like a sanctuary for inaction. You fill up every single, hour with these inputs, notifications, feeds, micro tasks. And what you are actually doing is protecting yourself from having to make a hard design choice. You are avoiding the discomfort of putting a blank canvas in front of you and actually committing to a layout. It is this, tiny, quiet buffer that keeps you safe from the actual work.
It is an elegant sort of self-defense mechanism, isn't it? We build a fortress of trivial tasks to protect ourselves from the one meaningful, uncomfortable task. Let us introduce our third caller, Kenji, who is dialing in from Tokyo. Kenji, what are your thoughts on this modern illusion of progress?
Yes, hello, Paul. Hello, everyone. To build on what Elena was saying, I think we have created an environment where it is almost impossible to be idle. But we confuse this active state with progress. I see it in my team all the time. We have meetings to plan the next meeting. We write detailed documentation for systems we have not even built yet. It is a meticulous sort of planning, and it is a very persuasive illusion. You go to bed feeling, exhausted. You think, wow, I worked so hard today. But if you look at the actual output, nothing has changed. We used busyness as a shield. It is a shield against the anxiety of execution.
And that shield is incredibly heavy to carry, yet we choose it over the alternative. I want to talk about that alternative and why we avoid it so desperately. The research suggests that the real threat is silence. When the notifications stop, when the terminal is closed, and we are just left with ourselves. Marcus, why do you think quietness has become so threatening to us?
I think, when it is quiet, you do not have any distractions to hide behind. if I'm sitting in a room and my phone is in another room and there is no music, no podcast, suddenly all the things I am postponing, they bubble up to the surface. It is like an internal accounting system. Your mind starts presenting you with the bills you have not paid. You think about like that difficult conversation you need to have with your co-founder, or the fact that you are not actually happy with the direction of your project. As long as you have a podcast running in your ear or like a YouTube video playing in the background, you can shut that voice up. You do not have to face the personal responsibility of it.
Internal accounting. That is a powerful phrase, Marcus. Elena, does that resonate with you? This idea that we use background noise to drown out our own self-assessment?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I do this every single day. I cannot even wash the dishes without, having a video playing on my phone next to the sink. It is ridiculous, right? But if I do it in silence, my mind immediately goes to the things I am ignoring. Like, hey, Elena, you are not actually making progress on that personal portfolio. Or, hey, you are avoiding setting boundaries with that client. And it is uncomfortable. It is so much easier to just flick on a tech review video or a stream, and boom, the internal voice is gone. We think we are just staying informed or keeping our minds active, but it is really just, a noise generator to block out the truth.
Kenji, what is your experience with this in Tokyo? It is a city known for its constant ambient noise and high-tech environments. How does silence function there?
Yes, it is very crowded here. Constant sounds. But even in our private spaces, we create our own noise. We keep the television on, or we scroll through social feeds while we eat. I think we do this because silence exposes our fear of failure. If you sit in a quiet room and you admit to yourself that you are, avoiding a major life decision, then you are suddenly responsible. There is no one else to blame. There is no algorithm to blame. It is just you in an empty room with your choices. And that realization of total personal responsibility, it is very heavy. It is easier to reach for the phone and find some noise.
Yes, because the phone offers us a temporary escape from that weight. But there is a cost to that escape, isn't there? It is not free. The research refers to this as a compounding debt. Every time we retreat from a promise we made to ourselves, we pay a price. Marcus, how do you see this debt manifesting in your own life or work?
It is erosion of self-trust, Paul. That is the biggest cost. Like, if I promise myself on Monday, okay, tomorrow morning I will start refactoring that messy database module. And then Tuesday comes and I find some excuse. I say, oh, I need to check my emails first, or I need to clean my desk. And then I don't do it. If I do this once, okay, fine. But if I do it every day, for weeks or months, my internal credibility is just, completely destroyed. The next time I make a promise to myself, my brain does not even believe it. It is like, why should it? I have a history of defaulting on my promises. And that makes the next step even harder to take. The weight of the task just, compounds.
Elena, do you agree? Does the discipline itself decay the longer we postpone these uncomfortable choices?
Yeah, it is like Git conflicts, if I can use a developer analogy. If you push small updates every day, the merge is easy. But if you hold on to your code for 3 months because you are scared of the feedback, when you finally try to merge it, it is a nightmare. Everything is broken. That is what avoidance does to your goals and your relationships. You postpone the hard conversation, and the tension just builds up in the background. It's not like it goes away, it just gets heavier and heavier to lift. And then you reach a point where you feel like completely paralyzed. You look at the pile of things you have avoided, and you don't even know where to start.
It becomes a mountain of uncommitted changes, and the paralysis sets in. Kenji, when we reach this state of paralysis, how do we typically respond? Do we take responsibility, or do we slide into another form of avoidance?
Often we slide into self-hatred. We start to feel shame. We tell ourselves we are lazy, or we lack motivation, or we are not, cut out for this. But the interesting thing is, this shame is actually just another distraction. It is a form of self-absorption. Because when you are wallowing in shame, you are still not doing the work. You are just performing a drama in your head. You are saying, look at me, look how bad I feel. It is a very clever trap. It feels like you are paying the price because you are suffering, but it is a fake currency. It does not actually change the reality of the situation.
That is an incredibly profound point, Kenji. Shame as a dramatic performance that keeps us from taking real action. It is a way of staying self-absorbed without actually moving the needle. Marcus, how do we break out of that loop of shame and avoidance? How do we take responsibility without the emotional theatre?
You have to look at it, objectively, like you are inspecting a log file or a stack trace. When your server crashes, you do not sit there and scream at it or feel guilty because you wrote bad code. Well, maybe you do for a second, but then you stop. You just read the error message. You look at the data. You say, okay, this is where it failed. This is the state of the system. We need to do the same with our choices. No drama. Just an honest, quiet assessment of what is. I avoided this task for 2 weeks because I was afraid of failing. That is the fact. Now, what is the next step? It is about removing the emotional performance and just, looking at the raw data of your life.
Removing the performance, that is key. Elena, how do we translate this into a practical exercise? If someone is listening to us right now, sitting at their desk, surrounded by browser tabs and background noise, what is the first step?
Honestly, you have to strip away the sanctuaries right now. If you are listening to this, you probably have, 10 other tabs open, maybe some music playing, maybe Slack notifications pinging in the corner. You have to close them. Just shut it all down. Pick one specific, unambiguous thing that you know you have been avoiding. Not 3 things, not a 10-item to-do list, just one. And then remove the escape route. Put your phone in another room, close the browser, and sit there. Even if you do not start typing right away, just sit with the discomfort of the task. Do not let yourself run away to another productivity article or a YouTube video. Just do one concrete, uncomfortable action toward that postponed reality.
One concrete, uncomfortable action. Kenji, how does that sound to you? Is it really that simple, or is it harder than it looks?
It is very simple, but it is extremely hard because our brains they are addicted to the quick release of tension that we get when we escape. When you close the tabs and sit in silence with a difficult task, the tension rises. Your brain will scream at you to open a new tab or check your phone just to get that, relief. But if you can resist that urge, even for 10 minutes, if you can complete just one small task, the relief you get is real. It is not the fake relief of avoidance. It is the real piece of having met the friction and passed through it.
And that is the core of the void mentality. The peace we are searching for, the clarity we claim we lack, is actually waiting for us directly behind the very door we refuse to open. It is behind the single action we continually postpone.
Yes, exactly. And We have to realize that this is a daily practice. It is not like a one-time cure. You do not just do this once and then you are suddenly a master of discipline. Every single day, you are going to face that friction. Every day, the temptation to build a sanctuary of busyness will be there. The question is just, are you willing to pay the price today, or are you going to add to your debt?
Yeah. It is about building that self-trust back up, one small block at a time. Every time you actually do the thing you said you would do, you write a little bit of good code back into your own system. You start to trust yourself again, and that is worth so much more than the temporary comfort of scrolling.
I agree. We must stop waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect feeling. The feeling of readiness, it does not come before the action. It comes after you have done the work. We must start in the dark. We must start in the dark. A fitting note to bring our discussion to a close. I want to thank Marcus in Berlin, Elena in San Francisco, and Kenji in Tokyo for their insights today. And to our listeners, as you return to your screens, take a moment to look at your tabs, your notifications, your quiet spaces. Identify that one thing you are avoiding. Close the loops. Accept the friction. Thank you for listening to AI Talk Radio. I am Paul, and this has been a quiet look into the void mentality.
This has been Void Frequency, a Void Mentality audio series. Before you leave, ask yourself one question. What are you still avoiding? Explore more at void-mentality.com and subscribe for the next transmission.